Officer Daniel Okafor had been with the Nigerian police force for over a decade. He was known in his precinct for his dedication, bravery, and unwavering commitment to justice. His colleagues often joked that he was more than just a police officer, he was a man on a mission. Daniel had always believed that his role was not just to enforce the law, but to protect the helpless and bring hope to the hopeless. He had seen his share of violence, crime, and despair, but he had never wavered from his calling. One warm evening, as he sat in his patrol car waiting for the next call, Daniel's radio crackled to life. The voice on the other end was urgent. All units, all units. A young man has been kidnapped near Chijioke. The kidnappers are armed, and the vehicle is a black van. They are heading towards the expressway. Daniel's pulse quickened. Kidnappings were not uncommon in Lagos, but every time it happened, it felt like a personal attack. Someone, a mother, a father, a family, was grieving. And it was his job to make sure that their loved ones were brought back to them. Without hesitation, Daniel slammed the gear into drive and sped off. The streets of Lagos were already busy with evening traffic, but Daniel drove his car skillfully, weaving between lanes, honking at slower drivers, and pushing his way through the congestion. His mind raced with thoughts of the young man in danger. Who were these kidnappers? Why had they chosen him? And most importantly, was he still alive? Daniel's thoughts were interrupted by the sharp sound of the radio again. We have located the black van on the expressway, heading toward the 3rd mainland bridge. Proceed with caution. Daniel's heart beat faster. He pushed the accelerator, his eyes scanning every corner of the road. He was getting closer. Soon, he saw the black van up ahead. It was speeding, trying to outrun him. Daniel's radio called again. Backup is on the way. We need you to hold your position. There was no time for backup. Daniel knew that if he waited for more officers, the kidnappers could get away. This was his moment to act. He made a snap decision. He pulled his car up next to the van and rammed it with full force. The sound of metal crashing into metal echoed through the night as the black van spun out of control. It slammed into a streetlight, knocking it to the ground before finally coming to a stop. Daniel's heart was racing, but he didn't hesitate. He quickly exited his car, drawing his gun. "Drop your weapons," he shouted, his voice filled with authority. The kidnappers were stunned for a moment. But then, one of them fired his gun at Daniel. Daniel dived to one side, narrowly missing the bullet. He returned fire, hitting the kidnapper in the leg. The man screamed in pain and fell to the ground, dropping his weapon. The other 2 kidnappers, realizing the situation was turning against them, tried to run away, but Daniel was faster. He tackled one to the ground before the second one could make a move. Within moments, backup arrived, surrounding the remaining kidnappers and arresting them. Daniel, bloodied and bruised but alive, approached the black van. He could see the young man, still trembling, his eyes wide with fear. His hands were bound with rope, and his mouth was covered with tape. Without a second thought, Daniel yanked open the door. "Don't worry," Daniel said, his voice soft and reassuring. "You're safe now." The young man stared at him, wide-eyed. Tears began to stream down his face. You saved me," he whispered, his voice weak and shaky. Daniel quickly untied the ropes binding his hands and peeled the tape off his mouth. The boy gasped in relief as he took deep breaths, trying to calm his nerves. "Who are you?" Daniel asked gently. The boy looked at him, still in shock. "My name is Chijioke. They were going to kill me. My father is a businessman, and they wanted ransom. I don't know why they were after me." Daniel nodded. He could feel the boy's fear and exhaustion. He had seen too many lives destroyed by kidnappers like these, but today, he had made a difference. Just as he was about to say something else, he felt a sharp pain in his side. He looked down and saw blood soaking through his uniform. One of the kidnappers had managed to shoot him during the scuffle. The adrenaline had masked the pain, but now it was setting in. "Help him!" Chijioke cried out, his voice panicked. "Somebody help him!" The sound of sirens grew louder as paramedics arrived. They rushed to Daniel's side, lifting him onto a stretcher. Chijioke grabbed his hand. "Please, stay with me, officer. You can't die. Please." Daniel smiled weakly. "I'll be fine. Just make sure you stay safe, okay?" Chijioke nodded, tears streaming down his face. "I won't forget what you did for me. Ever." 3 weeks later, Daniel woke up to the soft beeping of machines and the quiet hum of a hospital room. His wife, Ada, was sitting beside him, her eyes red and swollen from crying. "Daniel," she whispered, her voice shaky. "You're awake." Daniel tried to sit up but felt the pain in his side. He winced but smiled at his wife. "I made it, didn't I?" Ada nodded, tears spilling down her cheeks. "You almost didn't, but you did. You're going to be okay." Daniel closed his eyes, thankful for his life. He had done what he had to do, and he was alive to see another day. Just then, the door opened, and Chijioke walked in. "Officer Daniel," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "I will never forget what you did for me. You saved my life." Daniel tried to sit up again, but Chijioke rushed to his side. "Please don't move," Chijioke said. "I just came to say thank you. You're a hero." Daniel smiled, though it was weak. "I'm just doing my job." Chijioke handed him an envelope. Inside was a letter. "Because of you, I have a second chance at life. Thank you for your courage. You are my hero. I will never forget you." Tears filled Daniel's eyes. He had risked everything that day. He had faced death, but in the end, it was worth it. "Just live a good life," Daniel whispered, his voice filled with pride. "Make it count." Chijioke nodded, wiping his eyes. "I will. I promise. Police is indeed your friend, my friend, more than a friend. God bless the police force." As the young man left, Daniel looked at his wife, his heart full. He had done his duty. He had saved a life, and that was all he needed to know. He felt really satisfied and joyful. It was a joyous moment in his life he wouldn't forget in a hurry. Days turned into weeks, and Daniel slowly regained his strength. His fellow officers visited him often, bringing words of encouragement and gratitude. They told him he had become a legend in the force, a symbol of true bravery. One evening, as he rested in his hospital bed, a news report played on the television. It featured his story, the daring rescue, the gunfight, and his selfless act. The reporter called him a hero of Lagos. Daniel smiled weakly. He never sought fame, but knowing that his actions had inspired others filled his heart with pride. Chijioke and his family visited again. His father, a tall man with kind eyes, shook Daniel's hand firmly. "Officer Daniel," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "You saved my son's life. I can never repay you, but please, accept my gratitude." Chijioke's mother wiped her tears. "God used you to bring my son back to me. May he bless you abundantly." Chijioke stepped forward, holding a small plaque. "I made this for you," he said. "It's not much, but it's my way of saying thank you." Daniel took the plaque and read the words inscribed on it, "To Officer Daniel Okafor, a true hero." His eyes welled with tears. He had been in the force for over a decade, but this moment meant more to him than any medal or promotion. Months later, Daniel finally returned to duty. But life as an officer was never quiet for long. On his first patrol back, he received an urgent call. A notorious gang had taken hostages at a bank downtown. Without hesitation, Daniel and his team raced to the scene. As they arrived, gunshots rang through the air. The gang members, armed and ruthless, were determined to escape. Daniel signaled his team to surround the building while he found another way in. Scaling a fire escape, he reached the rooftop and surveyed the scene below. He saw the hostages, terrified but unharmed, huddled in a corner. With calculated precision, Daniel dropped into the building through a ladder. Stealthily moving through the shadows, he took out 2 gang members before they even knew what hit them. As he advanced toward the hostages, the leader of the gang spotted him and opened fire. Daniel dove behind a desk, narrowly avoiding the bullets. He radioed his team. "I've got eyes on the hostages. Move in." A deafening explosion rocked the building as the gang tried to create a diversion. Smoke filled the air, but Daniel pressed on. He lunged at the gang leader, grappling with him in a fierce struggle. The man fought hard, but Daniel was faster, stronger. With a final punch, he knocked the leader unconscious. Backup stormed in, securing the scene and rescuing the hostages. As Daniel emerged from the smoke-filled building, the crowd erupted in cheers. Once again, he had faced danger head-on and won. As he caught his breath, Chijioke appeared, having watched the whole ordeal from a safe distance. "Officer Daniel, you did it again," he exclaimed, eyes wide with admiration. Daniel chuckled, wiping the sweat from his brow. "Just another day on the job, kid." But deep down, he knew every day was an adventure, and he was ready for whatever came next. Here are 3 moral lessons from the story. 1. Courage and selflessness save lives. Officer Daniel risked his own life to save Chijioke without hesitation. His bravery teaches us that true heroes are those who put others before themselves, even in the face of danger. 2. Doing the right thing comes with sacrifices. Daniel was wounded in the process of rescuing Chijioke, showing that standing up for justice and protecting others often requires sacrifice. However, the impact of such actions lasts forever. 3. Gratitude and kindness matter. Chijioke did not forget what Daniel did for him. He showed appreciation by visiting him in the hospital and writing him a heartfelt letter. This teaches us that recognizing and appreciating the sacrifices of others strengthens the bond of humanity. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the YouTube channel for more videos.